All right. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. It's actually Friday. I don't know if we've ever recorded on a Friday.
No, probably not. Just happened to seize the moment.
All right. We're going to start with opening
I'm ready.
takes.
I'm prepped.
You are
I'm
ready?
prepared.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise.
What are we talking about in the, why don't you tell everyone what we're talking about in the regular podcast before we do opening takes?
We are talking about missed opportunities. And I forget the other one already.
No, that was pretty much
Okay.
it. Like things that people often overlook.
Overlook. Missed opportunities and things that people overlook. Yes. This is a good one, I think. For me, I just hope people take out of it like a new perspective, right? Oh, I didn't look at it like that. I didn't think about it like that. And I think when you get your mind and looking differently and hopefully more positively, the outcome is more positivity. Better things happen.
Definitely. So do you want to start your opening take?
Sure, I will.
All right.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So this week for me, I always feel like I have to do all the things. Like there's too much on my plate. I have to control everything. And I had gone into this week deciding, we're going to talk a little bit about this too, but 3 of our staff kind of needed a push and were becoming a little bit complacent, and I wanted them to learn a new skill. So I offered to set aside a morning and do a class on hair extensions. And through talking to them and doing that, one of our other staff members asked if she could come and shadow and like help teach the class. And I was like, yeah, I think that's amazing. She has 2 jobs. She had to take off for the other job and she was very excited. She's like, I would really like to teach someday. So this is like so fun. And I think watching you do it will be great. And under hello feel comfortable. So I was like, cool. So I'm getting ready in the morning and I'm like, oh, okay, how am I going to do this? I woke up at night, like just structuring it all, whatever. How is this day going to look? And when I got in the morning, Gianna shows up. She's got a coffee for me. She's like, I stopped. I got us coffees. She is so excited. And this moment clicked, like a moment that I really could help. And I don't have to do all the things. I know I can teach. That's not it. So I looked at Gianna. I said, you're going to lead this class today. And she just looked at me and she was like, what? I'm like, you can do it. I'm here to support you. You are taking the lead. And so when our 3 staff came in, I said the same thing. Gianna is your educator today. You will go to her with all your questions. I am here to support Gianna, but this class is Gianna's. And it was just an eye-opening moment for me to be like, we need to grow our business in so many ways, and I can only do so much. So this is a perfect opportunity to kind of pass the torch and not make her stress thinking about it leading up to it. And she friggin' killed it. And it was amazing to watch. And it felt like just like a proud growing moment. Yeah. And she was proud of herself and the staff took the direction. All their questions went to Gianna. Like they respected it. They looked at her as the educator that morning. It was just fantastic. And I think for people out there that maybe, resonate with me and you feel like you have to do all the things. You don't. You just have to find the right support team to support all the things you want to do. And then you are doing all the things and you're helping everyone else get where they want in life. Opening take.
So good job, Gianna. Shout out. I messaged her after to talk to her just to touch base on it and sort of just give her some feedback because everything that you had said was so positive. My role in that was to show up with pizza and snacks.
Always got to have snacks.
And Capri Suns and things that are fun and take your mind off of learning for, 2 minutes, because in a class, it can just get a lot. When you're learning a new skill, like everyone that's listening, you've learned a new skill at some point. It can be mentally exhausting. So that's where Todd swoops in with pizza and
save the day,
hopefully for our staff. How did that make you feel? I'll do my opening take in a second, but this is a really good thing, and I think we should just touch on it.
Amazing and proud, because I generally, as the control freak I am, I miss opportunities and think I have to do all the things. So it was it could have been a missed opportunity if I just had Gianna watch me, but we talk about this all the time. Watching isn't learning. Watching isn't doing. You can watch all day, but that doesn't mean that you're great at doing it. So rather than miss that opportunity, I'm like, she can do this, and no matter what would have made her shine. She didn't need me to do that, but I'm like, I will not let this girl fail. And she knew that. She trusted me, like, okay, I got this. And I'm like, you do. So yeah,
that's cool.
It was awesome.
And I know she felt great about it after too.
And we're already talking about doing another one. So she's like, count me in. I'll take the day off. I don't care.
And teaching was something that she wanted to do before hair,
Yeah.
actually.
So very cool.
So she gets a little bit of that now and probably a lot more in the future. My opening take is that people need to start being the thermostat, not the thermometer.
Oh.
And so what I mean by
Yeah,
that,
do
and I
tell.
heard somebody say this, is when you walk into the room, set the temperature. Don't just fall to whatever the temperature is. Don't let other people set the temperature.
Love that.
I think too often people are almost like it's almost like a victim mentality. And I don't mean that in any way of political or anything, because I know we're in an election year and I hear victim mentality. It gets thrown around all the time. But you're in that sort of victim mindset where you walk in and if everyone around you is bummed out, then you're bummed out, which I understand. It's easy to do. It's easy to get sucked into
Oh,
that
yeah.
sort of vibe, and it's hard. But if you want to excel at anything, if you want to be a leader, especially, you have to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Don't walk in and take the temperature of the room. Walk in and set the
Yeah.
fucking temperature of the room. And I think you will
I love that.
do a lot better. All right. Missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Often overlooked opportunities. We were talking this morning about value.
Mm-hmm. Big one.
And so I'll start with what I said. I feel like a lot of times people will come out of school or people will come to us and say, I want to do whatever, fill it in with whatever you want, some extravagant big service.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want to focus on, whether it's like these huge, color projects, fashion colors, all that stuff, or whether it's these massive transformations, could be things like extensions, whatever. You want to do all these massive things. And I get it because that stuff can be sexy. But what's really impressive is when you can add so much value to something that most people would think is basic, that you're able to charge 2 to 3 times more than your average for that service. So, for example, Jen, you do a lot of people's hair recently that I'm hearing that will say, I would basically pay whatever
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not sitting in the salon all day.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that you have these big services and you see all these dollar signs is because somebody's sitting in the salon. I've seen people sit in a salon for over 12 hours.
No, thank you.
Maybe not 12. What was it? Was it 9?
So,
There was one at your
yeah.
last salon.
Yeah.
Started in the morning. No, it was over 12. It started at like 10 and it went till like 1
Yeah.
a.m. What am I
Do
talking
kind of
about?
remember that. Oh, try to black that up sometimes.
That's like 15.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
insane. But people want to take on these projects because I think part of it is they see the dollar signs.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get really good at more basic things that bring so much value to people's lives and be of service to those people. And I know you can talk about it more. So go ahead. We recently had someone at our house. I think we talked about it. That was like, I was at the salon for like
Oh,
four
yeah.
and a half, 5 hours. And I'm at your salon for like, I'm home within 2.5 hours. Like I arrive
Yeah.
at
And
10,
she has 3
like
kids, just had a
12:30, I'm home.
baby. Like, she doesn't have time to sit around. And the other part was the person wasn't listening to her too. So there was a few things happening there. And if you've heard Todd and I talk about avatars, my ideal client is somebody who wants to be blonde, has a family, like just have certain ideals that are the same. So this to me was an ideal client when she first approached me. This is who I want to sit in my chair all day long because we vibe, are just a lot of things are very similar, which makes the service and the relationship really simple. But what it comes down to for me, that the missed opportunity, the overlook here is like, I do hair. I do it very well. I understand that. But it's when my clients come in, it's not about the hair. They're getting their hair done. It's about the relationship and how I make them feel. Kind of like you said, like I set the temperature. If they're having a bad day, and I have had this past week people coming in and literally they look at me, it's like that mom effect and they just start crying. They're like, I'm having the worst morning ever. And I'm like, totally okay. We're still going to do your hair and we're going to talk through it. And they leave and they're like, I feel so much better. And then the other part is, yes.
You sent someone home recently.
Yes. I have.
You had someone come in that was owns a business and was dealing with some like some big issues. I'll just say, I don't want to, if anybody's listening,
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away, but owns or is involved in a company that's a very, very large company and was dealing with some very, very large stresses that day, and you were like, you need to leave.
Yeah. So that,
Because that's what
and
was
again, it's
best
reading
for
the room.
her.
I walked over, I looked at her face, and I'm like, what is happening? And no, she's still sitting in our waiting chairs, whatever. And she looked at me, she's like, I need to talk to you for a minute. And so she lays out, and you're right, like, she's big company. This woman does it all. And she laid out her day and she's like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. And I'm like, you are not. Yes, exactly what you said. I'm like, you can stay here and do the work. I'm not doing your hair today. And it's not about like, oh, because I had one of my other clients that came in later. I was asking about this because she owns a salon. She's like, are you charging her for that? Are you like making her pay a fee because she like screwed up your day? And I'm like, fuck no. This is one of my most valuable clients. Like, and I am there to serve her.
Who is by the way a wonderful person.
Wonderful. So no,
Yeah.
I that's part of it. It's like help first, right? So I looked at her and like, go do your call, whatever you got to do. I'm like, I was leaving early the next week on a day. So I was like, I can stay and I want you to come in this day and I'll do it then. And then, we're still on your schedule for getting your hair done because she has a lot of big things coming up that she needs to look the part, and go work through this for the weekend. And she like immediately was like, oh, thank you. But I could have easily been like, yeah, you have an appointment. Like, I'm doing your hair, figure it out, or whatever, or made it more stressful for her. But that's not customer service. That's not what Jen Ford, as a stylist, what I offer when someone sits with me. Like, I literally am like, what can I do to help? Like, do you need me to give advice? Do you need me to just like listen to you? Like, what does this look like? And then on top of that, I will do your hair. In this case, like you said, I'm like, you need to go deal with this. And it's just hair. We'll figure it out.
There's something that's overlooked a lot too, right? Is with the charging for appointments and that are missed and stuff. And I'm not knocking if you have a cancellation policy, good for you. We have a cancellation policy. It's just a lot more relaxed, I would say, than
and it's per
most.
individual. It's not black and white.
Yeah, that's how it needs to be. It's a service industry. So you're overlooking the lifetime value of a client for your single day.
Right.
And that is putting you first, not them first. So I think we've said it a million times. If you can be of service and elevate the value to people like that client's never going anywhere,
right.
ever. What else? Were you done with that value?
Yeah, I think
okay.
Just really, I guess, just looking at people as people. And the more you can create a relationship, like you just said, it lasts so much longer, and like the lifetime value is way bigger than maybe the one missed appointment. But you do you.
Another thing that we talked about before hitting record was focusing on what you don't have. So I think people overlook that all the time, and there's so many missed opportunities there.
Yeah, I think it's easy to, if you're someone building, or even, it doesn't matter. I use the word Swiss cheese. So you have a Swiss cheese day, right? A lot of holes, a lot of gaps. And that can weigh on you. I get that. It's not fun to not be busy. Like, I like to be busy too. But I think when you have a Swiss cheese day, or you have a day, if you even have one client, to me, that's a win. When someone starts at hello, one client per every shift they work, I feel like that's a high five. I am happy for them. And I hope they are just as happy, because that is better than nothing. And then, we coach to focus on that one client. If that's all you have all day, well, you can really like spend some time with them and talk to them. I talked about this yesterday with one of our staff who only had one client booked, and just for a single service, she was trying to save money, so she was going to leave wet. So I'm like, here's where we're at. If nothing else books in, Todd and I talk about this all the time, like surprise and delight. You can first ask her like, hey, are we doing a blow dry today? And if she's like, it's not in my budget, I can't, and nobody else is coming in today, and all you have is this, I'm like, give her a complimentary blow dry. Show her what that looks like, so that maybe next time in the future, she might budget differently to be like, you know what? That blow dry was so amazing. I can't not have that. And today I'm going to book that with you. So there's so much more you can offer for that one client than focusing on all the clients that haven't come into you that day, or that you think exist and should be in your books. They're not in your books. So that's a different podcast. Focus on the ones that are in your books and making them feel all the value that you offer, and making them feel special, and doing certain things for them if you're allowed to.
Retain them.
Yeah, which it will, right? Surprise and delight. That is what they're looking for.
To be full, you have to retain people. Yep. It doesn't matter. I've said that a million times. It doesn't matter how many clients I give to a stylist. If you don't keep them,
it doesn't matter at all.
This isn't going to work. So what about when it's knowing, I'm going to start that sentence over. What about knowing when it's time to learn a new skill, or the flip side of that coin, when it's not time
Yes.
yet?
And this is tricky. So I opened with sort of, I have some stylists that I felt were becoming a little complacent and just coasting. And I think it's a scary place because in the beginning of your career, you're learning so many new things. You're just uncomfortable daily, by the minute, by the hour, all the time. And then as you start to grow and you're in a couple years, you're getting some like footing underneath you and you're like, okay, I got this. This is really great. And that uncomfortable feeling is less and less and less. It's probably there for certain things, but not as much as it is in the beginning. So what I find is for me, it was kind of with two of these people, I think they're coming up on like the 3-year mark here. And I'm like, they need a push. They need a push. And I think this is a skill that they will really enjoy. And I think that they'll thrive with this skill. So they're not coming to me. You know, they might have mentioned a few things here and there, but they were pretty much just like, I'm good with my daily. I want to get busier. So I'm like, well, I approach it as, hey, I got an idea. You know, you can get busier if you learn a new skill because you're going to add new skills to your skill set. And this is what I see for you. When I laid out and they were like, oh, that would be amazing. Now, that would be amazing is the first part. The second part is just showing up for that class. And let me tell you, they were wicked fucking uncomfortable and at points hated what they were doing because now they've been used to doing everything so easily, they forgot what it was like to learn something new and struggle. That is not easy to do and be bad at it. You're not good just because you showed up. So as they're doing the certain things, they're whatever they're, I'm showing them and I'm showing them, Gianna's showing them, and we make it look easy because we've been doing it now for a couple of years. We've learned so much. And they're just like 2 left hands, 2 right hands, stabbing themselves. Like literally, they're just like, this is way too hard. But like, trust the process, trust the educators. We will get you there. We were in your same spot. And by the end of that class, they were like, okay, they came in the next morning and they're on mannequins and they're practicing and practicing and practicing. It's like, I want to learn this. I do really want to do this. So I think there's that point of though, like no one wants to be uncomfortable. It's not fun, but you're not going to grow unless you become uncomfortable. And if you stay complacent, it's even harder to take on those new skills.
Yeah. Did you touch on the
So I
flip
was going to
side?
say, and then on the flip side.
Okay.
So
I didn't think.
I didn't know if you had anything there. So on the flip side,
No, the only thing is I just agree with everything. It's really difficult to learn, and sometimes we put that off
yeah.
because we're like, why would I go through that when I'm fine doing what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing? But if you stay fine doing with what you're doing, you're regressing
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
definition. If you're not moving forward, you're not actively in pursuit of some sort of goal,
Yeah.
then, and I'm not saying every month to be taking
No.
classes, doing whatever, but strategically throughout your year, you should break things up. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4. For some people, it can be 2, whatever. I'm going to a class at the end of this month with you. And I was like, you know what? I'll take the
Mm-hmm.
class. It's long hair and I'm not comfortable with long hair. And I feel like this is going to be way above my head, but I'm still going to go and be uncomfortable and learn because what's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to help
Right.
me. Like I'm probably going to make like
You will get at
relation.
least a couple nuggets of things that will help you with short, long hair. It doesn't matter.
Well, in networking, I'm going to meet other
Yeah.
people that are in maybe a similar situation, or maybe were, they were, that was
Yeah.
annoying. Maybe they were where I was in the past. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So who knows? Who knows what we'll see? But I'm going to do that. And I think other people just maybe sometimes need that push.
Yep.
So
Flip side.
on the flip side, yeah, it's you have these people that are like, I want to learn this. I want
Mm-hmm.
to learn extensions. I want to learn whatever, all these crazy techniques. And
Yeah. It's hard because again,
oh,
you don't want to like pop someone's bubble, but I like as a leader and as like a coach under hello, like we have to kind of like hold someone back if they're not ready and we
why
have
don't you just tell the story of the extension
yeah,
class?
okay. So when I was putting together the class, I had a bunch of people that were like, I want to do that. I want to watch. Can I come and look? And I had to say no. And that word does not come easy to me, but I was like, no. First of all, I
In a
want
firm voice.
what's that?
No, in a firm voice.
I wanted the few people that we were teaching the class to be able to focus. And what happens when you have just like a lone observers over here, they're asking a bunch of questions and they're not ready to learn it yet. And they're trying to like take parts out of it, which takes away from the learner. I also am very aware that that learner or those 3 people would be super uncomfortable and haven't been for so long that those questions from the back party watching was going to annoy the fuck out of them. And I needed them to focus on how to do them, and then they could decide if they wanted to do them. So first off, I was like, nope, you guys aren't invited. And here's why. For one, I'm like, you're learning so many foundational things. I need you to focus on the foundation. You focus on that. We can talk about it for the next one. The other person, I'm like, you're almost there, but I still need to see some X, Y, and Z before I think it's ready for you to learn a new skill. I need you to like really work on these. And I will tell you this, that they have both respected everything I said to them, and both have worked so hard that actually after the class, I was like, if you guys want, I will put together with Gianna another hair extension class, and you two and you will be invited. And the look on their face was like, what? Like, I'm ready. So then out of
Maybe.
left field,
We'll
our
see.
newest hire was like, I want to do hair extensions. Can I come? And there I am again going, nope, you can't. And she just looked at me. I'm like, and I said no to these people first too. Here's where you're at. She just got out of school, right? I'm like, you have to focus. And I went through the same story, and she's like, that makes so much sense. I'm like, you will be ready. We will teach you, but you're just not ready yet for a new skill. It will add nothing of value to what you're trying to do. You need to learn haircutting, foiling, like that kind of stuff. Then we can add on to it. And when you're ready, then you can actually do it. And she was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you. Like, yeah.
Plus, so I have a couple takeaways from that. One is that our staff, I would say, generally trust us and our structure of how we run things, because we're not saying no for anything bad. It's actually a good thing. Like, we are saying no to protect people
Yeah. It's just not
from
today.
certain situations. The other thing is, and I've had this happen to me in the past at Hello early on, I had someone come and basically lay out all this stuff they were doing. And they were like, so once I have all these certificates, like, can we talk about pricing and stuff? And I was like, we don't do that stuff here. Just because you take a class
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you're doing that at our salon. So that's a whole other ballgame. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not,
Right.
but we're not just going to I'm not going to invest a bunch of time pricing stuff and figuring things out and having you add stuff to the computer and going through all these steps for something that somebody is trying out.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. And I don't even know if you're good at it.
Right.
We haven't even talked about if there's a market for
Yep.
it. We haven't talked about adding it to our marketing or anything like that. So
Yeah, certificates
and
don't equal just being able to do things. So in that same regard, we have someone like we hire at a school, just passed their written, about to take state boards. And so she was like, we've talked about this, but we're in the back having a coffee. Like, so when I get my license, am I on the floor? How does this work? And she's already been through how it works, but I get it. She's excited. Like, I'm getting my license. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, you get
so
nervous too.
yeah. So I'm like, it works the exact same. We are still working on models for at least the next couple weeks. And then we will work on testing out and then seeing where you're at for moving to the floor in this amount of time. And she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, just because you pass the test doesn't make you any better that day than you were the day before. It's just a piece of paper. You need it to do the work, but that paper doesn't make you better at anything. So we're working on getting you better. So then when you take those clients, you can feel super confident and truly deliver on the standard and expectations that Hello wants.
Yeah, and also if you've heard us talk at all, you know how we feel about licenses and
Yeah, it's just a
all
piece of
that
paper.
stuff. So I don't,
And you need it.
yeah, it
I
doesn't.
get it. That's where we're at. But
Yeah, congratulations. You went
yeah,
through school or an apprenticeship or
the
whatever, and
next
you
part's
got
the
your license.
hardest.
Congratulations. And now we start working.
Yeah.
I was joking with her recently the other day because I went in to help her with a haircut, and this is our newest hire. And what did she say? Oh, she started with, well, when I was in
Mm.
school, and I was like, I don't ever want to hear that. And you can separate yourself now
Mm-hmm.
from school, and you can actually start learning the skills that you want to be part of your repertoire
Mm-hmm.
for your clientele moving forward. I have some stuff I came up with off the top,
Great.
like last minute. We can run through it pretty
Okay.
quick or dive into stuff more. So one of the big ones that I think people often overlook, I don't think, I'm going to take that word
You
out.
know.
I know most people overlook their health and wellness.
Oh, for sure.
And because even at our salon, and I'm not knocking people, but it's always like, you see people with fast food and Uber Eats or whatever and stuff. And again, I'm not knocking that, but I would imagine that's the bulk of people out there. And you're in an industry where you're on your feet. and you're supposed to look your best, and you're supposed to show up with a smile, and you're supposed to make people feel good. So in order for you to do that, you have to actually experience that for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Like, you have to feel good too.
Yep.
And I don't know what the answer is because I don't tell people what to do, but eating cleaner, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
means, right? Your fruits and veggies or lean meats or whatever, coming back from my gym days. When you do that stuff, you really do feel a
Yeah.
lot better by default. A little bit of activity. When you're somebody that thinks I'm on my feet all day, so when I get home, I want to be off my feet, wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go for a walk, or you need to hop on a bike and pedal, or you need to do something
Your
because
body will feel so
your
much
body
better.
has that. Yeah, your body has that energy, even though you don't feel it maybe necessarily mentally, or maybe some days you are beat up physically. You still should move your body. It's just, we could get into the science on a different
Yeah.
podcast, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
Just move your body.
So I love that you just brought this up because it is something I talk to
All
people
right.
all the time, but I think a missed opportunity on the leadership side. So this just happened, and it happens a decent amount in our salon where our young professionals are having a bad morning and they can't get their shit together. And I get a message of like, I can't get my fucking shit together. I can't make it in today. I'm so sorry. And so I used to get like salty, irritated. And then I'm like, okay, go back to what Todd always says. How can I help? So now when I get those messages, I got one this week. My message comes back to, it was like, hey, Jen, can't make it in today. I like can't get my mindset. This came in really early in the morning. Like my day is, I'm just in a shitty spot. Can I take the day off? So my response goes, this is exactly where it is now. And those that are listening will laugh. You know the drill. Drink some water, go for a walk, and I need you to eat a healthy meal. And if you can commit to those 3 things today, yes, you can have the day off. And they all do it. Like I'm like, and obviously it's a hit on the business, someone's out, but it is our job to help them. So I remind exactly what Todd said. These 3 things have to happen. And I will say yes to you having the day off. And every time they're like already on it. I'm going to go for a walk right now. Like I'm working on that. And I'm like, okay, then I will see you at your next shift. And they always say thank you. Like it's just, this is where we are. So how do we help? And it's just like you said, doing healthy things and reminding them of these healthy things.
I love it. Yeah, be of service to
Mm-hmm.
others, which is what we try to
On all
do for our
fronts.
staff
Yeah.
so that they can be of service
Mm-hmm.
to the clients of the salon. So time management, I wanted to touch on real quick because I think that's often overlooked in both directions too. Sometimes people are taking freaking forever to do stuff and they have no like acknowledgement at all that somebody might not want to be there for like 9
Mm-hmm.
hours. And on the flip side, I've had this happen too, where people have come to me and said, can you help me with these haircuts? And I'll say, sure. What are the goals? What are we trying to work on? And they're like, I want to get these down to like 5 minutes tops. And I'm like, what? Like, that's not a good service. You're telling me you're not good at something, so you want to do it faster. That's not how that
No.
works. So I think time management and time in general is something that's
Huge.
often
Yeah.
overlooked. And even like running on time. I know for a lot of people, it's, you know, and I'm not saying if this happens from time to time, you're going to have
Yeah.
curveballs that like that just happens. But if you're constantly like, oh, I'm just running a few minutes late when your client shows up, they're going to get annoyed
Yeah.
eventually.
It's time to
I
readjust
know
your
you,
timing.
yeah, I know you might think like, oh, they know me or they just know I'm always late. Right. Until they need to be on time for
Right.
something
And it looks
and
like
they don't
you're
anymore
disrespecting their
because
timing.
somebody else can do it
Mm-hmm.
better. Showing up, a big one for us is to be, you have to be there before your
Right.
clients. Like you have to. If you can't do that, you can't work at our salon. So because that is something that just annoys the shit out of
Yeah,
me.
same.
Just going to be blunt with that there. So if you're listening, time management is probably, do you have anything else to add on that one? That's pretty small one,
No,
but
totally agree. I think it's a just be aware of it and adjust so that you are running on time.
yeah, figure it out. I don't know, book longer for the service
Yep.
if you need to, and then work on getting it back
Mm-hmm.
down. But the other thing I want to touch on too is client experience beyond the services. So, what is it about your salon that people would want to come in for, like be comfortable with? Is it like, what is the music like? What is the staff dressed like? What's the smell? That's always a good
Yeah.
one. Cleanliness. What are your conversations looking like? How organized is your salon? because I've been in salons and I'm like, whoa, like what is happening here? I have no idea. Yeah, there's just stuff everywhere
It's
and it's so unorganized and clutter. What about decor? How does your salon look? We got a compliment the other day from a client of mine who came in and said, wow, this place looks really good for fall. You guys decorated. And I was like, I don't know who decorated. I could guess. And I was right when I guessed. But so I was like, I'll pass the compliment along. I had nothing to do with this. And I know Jen didn't either. It just showed up and there was decorations for fall. And he was like, they're just really well done. It's not over the top. A lot of places are like over the top. And I was like, well, we have a staff that cares about
yeah,
how it looks in here. They care about how it feels in here. And they want to feel good so that they can help their
right.
clients feel good. It goes back to the health and wellness. If your mindset's in the right place, you can help someone else get their mindset in the right place. And then the last thing I'll touch on as far as that is, are you making these things about you or
Mm,
about your clients?
huge.
Like your conversation needs to be focused on the client.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of younger staff, they have their friends and family that come in. That's a little different, but you still need to keep it
yeah.
professional because there are clients in other seats that are right next to you that are hearing what you have to say. Same goes with music. I would have on way different music if it was just me,
Right.
but it's not. So I can't do that. I can't just come in and put on, hip hop all the time or heavy rock or whatever. I have a few more things we can run through. So networking, I think, is something that's overlooked.
Yes.
And we talked about it recently. I don't know if it was last podcast or the one before, but networking with other business owners, with other professionals, get outside your salon, your shop.
So important.
There's just a massive value there. And you'll find that most people have most problems.
Very similar.
It's very similar. Yeah. And even across fields, like
Yes.
I've had people in this industry too. This one always gets me that are like, well, our industry is different. And I'm like,
Right.
how? Tell me how. And they're like, what other industries put their hands on people?
Tons.
I've had that. I've had
Yeah,
that happen.
no.
Yeah,
You're not
tons.
that
Uh,
special.
I, I was a personal trainer. So personal trainers, doctors, massage therapists, nurses, chiropractors, like a dentist, a whole bunch of people put their hands on people in way more invasive ways than
Yes.
you. When I was in my gym, I used to have to sometimes grab people's butts and push them
Right.
down and like get them into positions. Like, or with stretching and stuff like that. It's not invasive like
Right.
a,
Well,
a
you're in their
surgeon
personal
would do,
space.
but
You're in their
yeah,
bubble.
you're way up in their
Yeah.
personal space. And to touch the top of someone's head is a completely different thing.
Here's the thing.
Or to think that that's a completely different thing is just absurd to me.
And I think if whoever said that, right, if they're like, well, we're different because we touch people or whatever that is, then you better be expectation high of whatever you're doing for that scalp massage or whatever else. Because if you think that's what sets you apart, then that better be what everyone's talking about on all your reviews of why to go there. Because if you want that to set you apart, then make it set you apart. It doesn't just set you apart because you said it. Like we all touch them. Yeah. They're doing hair. We're washing their hair. It's just where it's at. You're not
Of
special
course you
because of
touch
that.
them. Right. So metrics and numbers was something
Yes.
I know I think that's often overlooked because I think, well, a lot of salon owners that we talk to, I feel look at the wrong metrics or they don't have defined metrics that match their goals. So you can
Right.
have whatever metrics you want to use as long as they support or provide information about your goals and are you reaching them or not. I know a lot of people that are like, we look at retention and rebooking and we look at like certain KPIs, like we look at percent booked and we look at how many products they sold in relationship to sales. Like, why?
Right.
Well, that's what so and so said to do. Right. But how does that align with
Right.
your business? You know? So that's something that people need to figure out for themselves. We can definitely help reach out. Client feedback
That's a good one.
is another one. Service industry. What's working for you? Ask your
Right.
clients. Why do you come in? Why do you come here? I've asked people that before that are sitting in my chair. Why do you come here? I had a high school kid come in and he's been a client ever since. So maybe he came in last year and he's been a client ever since. But when he showed up, I was like, why here? Why'd you find us? And he was like, I have curly hair and I went to this hairstylist that I know and was like, where should I go? And she said, you should check these guys out. They'll be able to help you out. And so I've been cutting his hair ever since. But if I didn't ask him why he came in or get that sort of feedback from him, I would have no clue, and maybe he would have left. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he would still be there, whatever. But that client feedback can be invaluable.
Yeah, it's huge.
And don't overlook your clients that have been there for years. So if you're a hairstylist and you're like, well, I've been doing this for a decade or 15 years or 20 years or 30 years, whatever. Why do your clients stay?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I know we all want to think it's our wonderful personalities, but like, and that is a contributor, yes, but that's not the only reason. So if you ask them, right, or invite them to coffee. I used to do that when I had my gym. I would invite clients to come in early for class. We'd have a coffee or something, or I would meet them out somewhere. I did that a few times. And I would just ask them, why here? Why did you choose us? I have two more quick ones, and then we can wrap up if you want. So cleanliness and sanitation, overlooked, missed. I still see people in our salon even, and no one's doing this on purpose, but I saw it the other day. Drop something, walk all over it. I'm like, how are you walking on that? You can't walk. You can't keep stepping on that and not noticing. It's insane to me. But it was during a class, so I just let it happen for a while. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but I let it happen for a while, and then I picked the thing up, and then it happened again, and you picked it up, and I was like, these people are learning, so I get it, but also you're gonna wipe out, dude. Like, you can't be stepping all over stuff. And then the sanitation thing, I've seen stuff in the past that it just blows my mind of how people don't pay attention to stuff. But I often attribute it to coming from a kitchen background too, because I used to cook back in the day, and I just wash my hands constantly. And I had someone tell me one time that they wash their hands when they go to the bathroom and they feel like that's enough for the day. And I was like, yeah, you don't work here anymore. So the last thing I had is soft skills.
Okay.
I don't know that people are looking at this and saying, how can I be better at the service part? I know a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm taking a blonding class or I'm taking an extension class. And they look at it as like, I need to improve my skills. And that was a common one in the gym industry too. People were like, I need to get a weightlifting certificate, kettlebell certificate, gymnastics certificate. No people ever came through the door and said, how many certificates do you have? I've never had anybody ask that. If you've had someone come in and say, how many online blonding classes have you done?
Oh, God.
Please reach out to us and let us know, because I've never, ever heard of that.
I would agree.
So working on soft skills, like how to write so that you can put together a blog post that helps people, how to speak, how to have a conversation with people so that when somebody comes into your chair and they're nervous because it's the first time, you can converse with them, find out what's going on, communicate with them, which we just talked about with Marie last episode we recorded, and really provide them with some comfort, really provide them with knowing that when they speak, you're actively listening. Because
Keyword
maybe
actively.
Soft skills. So maybe you read a book on conversation. Maybe you read a book on human behavior. All those things can help you so much more than another online, blonding class.
Yes.
And it's way, way overlooked.
Agreed.
That's all I have. So do you have anything else?
I think I talked a lot in the beginning. I'm good.
Yeah, I just backloaded that
That's great.
podcast. All right. So if you're listening, do us a favor, leave us a review wherever you listen. Get on our email list. I'm going to, I think, rework that email list. So it might be a little bit before the next one comes out. But jump on, leave us a review, or reach out through text, or click one of the buttons that we have everywhere. And we would love to hear from you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.